It's 4 o'clock in Los Angeles. It's 6 o'clock in Chicago. And it's 7 p.m. in New York City. Hello, everybody. I'm Mad Dog the Scipio. This is What's the Buzz? America's Best Podcast. I'm joined tonight by Amelia, the Pitbull Chapman. Amelia, how the hell are you?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm here.
Right?
Well, I'm swearing.
Full screen.
And we are back
Hello.
tonight with the good Dr. Doc Diamond, a Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer. Doc, let me tell everybody a little bit about Doc Diamond. He is a former pro wrestling manager, co-owner, co-founder of the Monster Factory with Larry Sharp and Buddy Rogers, the late Buddy Rogers. And he is a Hall of Fame manager, wrestler, promoter, worked with the WWF, WWE, NWA, WCW, and Doc is one of those old school guys like myself that remember when pro wrestling was great. Doc, welcome to the show for night number 2, brother.
Yes, thank you for having me again.
You're quite welcome. Let's get right into this. We had quite a bit of response last night from our show. People were fascinated with your career and your knowledge of Kevin Sullivan. Tonight, we're going to talk about a guy that I don't know how much you knew him. Talking about Psycho Sid Vicious.
I only worked with him a couple times, and that was because of Dennis Carluzzo, with the NWA.
Right. Now, was Sid involved with Dennis's promotion at the time?
No, well, it's just like a lot of guys when they get out of the WCW or WWE, WWF, they go to the indies. Yeah. At that time, I was running New Jersey, so was Dennis Carluzzo.
Yeah,
and I would do co-promoting with Dennis, and then I would go on my own, and he would do what he was going to do on his own.
Yeah.
And Sid Vicious worked for us a couple times, and that was my experience with him. I do know he did. It's just like a lot of the guys, they've had problems.
Talk to me about a guy that size. It would seem to me, Sid, if you looked at Sid, Doc, from a promoter standpoint, put your promoter's hat on, right?
Right.
Actually, you're already wearing it.
Yeah.
So a guy like Sid, 7 foot tall, right? 6'11", may as well say 7 foot. 7 foot tall, 325, 330, somewhere around there, right?
Yeah.
As big or probably bigger than Hogan, but of that caliber, a very big man, very muscular man that can work, that can cut a promo, but a guy that has a little bit of baggage with him, just like Hogan.
Yeah.
Talk to me about what seems to be the perfect package on the surface. How do you deal with a guy like Sid that's maybe too big, too good looking, too muscular? Talk to me about what goes on in the promoter's head.
Well, you're going to have the top of your card. I mean, what else could you really do with him?
Yeah.
He's a heel. As far as I can remember, it's all he's really ever been.
Oh, he worked. I think, Doc, Sid worked heel pretty much his whole career, except for that little bit when he was Sid Justice.
Yeah.
And that was his baby turn.
Yeah, but that didn't last long. That didn't last long.
No, you know why, Doc? You and I both know why. I'm going to tell the people why. Because he's not believable as a baby. He's 7 foot tall.
Right.
Okay? How do you make a baby face out of a guy built like a brick shithouse, 7 foot tall, that looks like he could crush a pineapple with his hand?
Well, it isn't just that. I mean, it's easier to be a heel.
Well, he was over as a heel.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying him being that big. But I'm not saying it was easy for him. I'm just saying it's easier to be a heel than a babyface. To get over as a babyface, it's a lot harder.
Tell everybody why, Doc. You and I both know the reason. Tell everybody why.
Oh, well, it's you got to be able to work the crowd.
Well, can I tell you what the real reason? Can I tell you what a promoter told me? I'm going to tell you what a major. Right. I'm going to tell you what a major promoter told me. It's easier to get over as a heel, and anybody can be a heel because all you've got to do is act like an asshole.
Oh, dear.
I mean, I said that, but but you want to, I said it a little nicer, I guess.
No, I don't want you to be nice, Doc. I want you to be...
Say it like you mean it. Say the truth.
I want you to be Doc Diamond on this show, brother. So, yeah, I mean, all you got to do is be a dick, really.
Yeah, I mean, problems with him. I mean, there was problems in the locker room, and hopefully he was coming sober. I don't want to, the man's, passed. I don't want to say too much, but he had problems of him coming sober. Same thing like Honky Tonk Man. I mean, I had to have other people make sure he got there, and Johnny Roz did that for me.
Yeah,
and he would have like Tito Santana drive, make sure Honky Tonk Man, make sure Wayne would get there.
Yeah,
he'd have Tito make sure Tito did the driving, and then I knew the Honky Tonk Man and Tito were going to be there.
And I understand that, having promoted shows for 25 years, 26 years. I know what it was. I only had, and I've been very, very blessed. I've only had an issue one time with a big name, and I ended up firing the guy before the show started. I gave him his pay because he did come in. I got this thing, Doc, and I want to talk to you about this because people think I'm wrong. If a guy works for me, even if I fire him, I'll pay him because he came in.
Yeah, I've done the same thing.
Okay. So, and people have said to me, no, Mad Dog, you're wrong for doing that. Because then what you're going to do is you're going to encourage him to do that again with another promoter. I said, no, I'm not. I'm keeping my word. The guy came in from Florida. I'll tell you who it was. It was Jim Duggan.
Okay.
Jim Duggan was a dick to us. Not just to me. He was a dick to my booker, to my talent people, to my referees. He was drunk. He hit on every girl in the backstage. I mean, he hit on every female back there, whether they were a valet, a worker, a girl working the gimmick table. He hit on every female in the back.
Well, see, you've seen a different Duncan than I did. See what I mean? That didn't happen at my show. That I'm not saying he wasn't, high or drunk, whatever you want to say. But I had different experience with him. I had experience with a couple of guys that they come and all of a sudden they want more pay once they're there. And I told them that I usually have somebody in the locker room that'll take their place.
Mm.
Oh, you know what, Doc? That was something I learned a long time ago. Always have a backup.
Yep.
I will tell you, it's funny because you triggered something immediately with me. Everybody has a different experience, of course. Everybody works differently. Even promoters work differently. The way I work is different than the way you work, but there's certain things that we all do together. We all look out for our money.
Oh, well, yeah, but as a promoter, we're all hated. You know that, right?
Of course we are.
All the wrestlers hate you until until they're waiting for their check or their money.
They love you with that.
They love you as long as because they love you until the show's over because they got their pay in their pocket.
Yeah.
And then you're a dick.
Yep.
And then you're hard to do business with.
Especially after you hire them, you'll hire them. Let's say you hire them. I'm making it up though. You hire them 100 straight times.
Right.
Yeah.
And then that last 101 time, you don't hire them. You're the dick.
Exactly. I'm with you. I've been there. So when you have a guy like a guy that's got a name like Sid, and he's giving the locker room a hard time, is it a hard call for you? That just I'm asking you to put put yourself in a real life situation.
Right.
Is it a hard call for you to say, Sid, here's your money, go home?
No, it's not a hard call. I did that with Manny Fernandez, Raging Bull Manny Fernandez.
Yeah.
Which gave me a hard time after I helped him.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on the street living in his van.
Yeah, I know.
And he stole money from me.
Yeah. I got news for you, Doc. Amelia, my co-host, she's got a Manny story she'll tell you off air.
Yeah. And I helped that guy.
I did too.
Yeah.
I put money in his pocket.
And not just once or twice.
Oh, I understand.
And I had problems with Ray Apollo. He pulled it. I did it for a children's home. I think I was talking about it the other night.
Yeah.
I did a show for a children's home. And I had Missing Link, Ox Baker. I mean, it was a big show. And I had, like I said, Iron Man Tommy Cairo, Bam Bigelow. Bam Bigelow had to come between me and Ray Apollo because Ray Apollo shows up and he wanted more money. This is after he negotiated over the phone of how much he wanted. And that's how much I was going to give him. But he wanted more money. And I said, there's the door and I'll let you hit it in the ass.
Wow.
Well, Doc, you're getting at exactly what happened between me and Jim Duggan, Hacksaw Duggan, and it happened with me, believe it or not, with a really nice guy. And I hated it because it happened with Slam, Walt. Big Slam, Walt McDonald, rest in peace.
Yeah, Slam's a good guy.
He held me up twice for more money.
Oh my goodness.
I said, Slam.
But once he got there or just like over the phone?
He said to me I'll tell you when it was. Williamstown High School. I had a full house. I had 2,000 people in the gym. All right. And I'm serious. It looked like a small WWE house show.
Right.
Wow. I had 2,000 people in the gym paying $20 a pop. Okay. Now, the money wasn't the problem. If he had called me at home and said, hey, Mad Dog, I'm a little short. Can you maybe help me out? No problem, Slam. I'll put a couple extra bucks in your pocket, but don't do it in the dressing room in front of the boys.
Right. That's what Ray did to me.
Yeah. He held me up in front of the boys.
Right.
And either I'm going to look like a jerk off or he is.
Right.
Okay. So he got his money. I sent him back. I sent a young lady to drive him back to the airport, hopped the next plane to Titusville, Florida, because he was living in Titusville, Florida at the time. And I said to this young lady, I said, make sure he gets on that plane and you make sure that you see the plane take off.
Right.
And then come back here. Now, by the time she got back, the show was almost over because she had to take him to the Philadelphia airport. Thankfully, wasn't very far away.
Right.
Because it's just a hop skip to get to the airport from here,
right.
where we live.
Jeez.
But yeah, Amelia, this is the kind of shit that you have to deal with when you're dealing with like a big name. I'm not Doc. Am I making any of this up?
I mean, and Ray Apollo, he wasn't even doing the doink gimmick for me. He was just doing, the right. Nobody knew who Ray Apollo was.
Right, because he's fucking Doink the Clown. He's in makeup.
Was
Right,
Sid Vicious
exactly.
ever like that as a hothead if you failed a drug test and you told him to leave? Did you ever have an incident with him like that?
Uh,
Especially during if he was a tag team or had to replace him?
no, no. Because you know, I'm talking in wrestling in the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
I mean, if that was the case, a lot of guys would be going home.
Right.
Exactly.
They're-
Exactly.
they're-
See, Doc, you retired in 2002, 2003, somewhere around there.
Retired from what?
From like running shows.
Oh, no. 2014.
2014. Okay.
Yeah.
I retired from running shows in 03.
Okay.
And I ran shows from the late 70s to 03. And because I was seeing something happening, I want to talk to you about it. Well, we were talking about names like Kevin Sullivan and Sid, these big names. I saw something happening around 02, 03. The business started changing, and the local boys were starting to, like put themselves over.
Yeah.
Because now the computer was becoming a thing now.
Right. But it wasn't just that you seen guys coming out that, like every time I ever talked to Gene Pettit, which is Hillbilly Cousin Luke.
Yeah.
When he was running shows and I was running shows with him, you always wanted somebody coming out of the locker room. I mean, coming making an entrance to the ring that looked bigger than somebody that was in the audience. Now in the early 2000s and on, now you got guys. You know, they were lucky if they weighed $150.
Well, now you're getting to where I'm talking about. I had guys on my show in Atlantic City at the Sands Casino. That was a big show for me. We had Jimmy Snuka, Walt Big Slam. We had oh God, who else was on there? We had Gary Capetta, Larry Sharp made a guest appearance. Broke my fucking balls the whole time. But that's Larry, that's the way he was. But I had some nice names on the show. And
Larry had early training from his father, Augie.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell you what, I heard stories about Augie. I never met him.
I worked with Augie, so I know where Larry got it from. So
yeah, well, those are the stories I heard. Like I said, I never met Augie. I never met the man, but I heard that he was, quite the educator. He taught his son well. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
But I saw a different kind of wrestler emerge, and we just lost two guys that perfectly describe each class of wrestler.
Yes.
We just talked about Sid, the monster, 7 foot, muscled up, chiseled, good-looking guy, looked like a Greek statue.
Yeah.
Then you got the other guy on the other hand. That's a short guy like me, but he's a short, muscular guy, and he can talk, and he can work, and he can beat the shit out of you because he's tough as nails. He's from the street. Kevin Sullivan, his father was a cop, right?
Right.
So you're talking about two different kinds of guys. The short, squatty, built very much like in the style of Bruno, who Bruno wasn't a big guy either.
Right.
But Bruno was bigger than Kevin.
Right.
Bruno was 5'10". Kevin was 5'7".
Yes.
Not a big guy, but he was strong as a bull.
Right.
Because he was a weightlifter, bodybuilder. I saw guys around 02, 03 that were starting to trim out now. They weren't the big barrel-chested guys like Kevin and Bruno,
right?
Or guys like Superstar Graham,
Well, when I started, I was over 300.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
But now I'm talking about. I've got guys working for me that maybe, like a guy like Hyena is like a $160. Maybe if you put shoes on him, maybe a $165.
Right.
Okay, guys like Loki, White Lotus, Armageddon, the Tommy Brandy was probably the monster of the crew
Yeah.
because Tommy was 6 foot,
Yeah.
built like a
Yeah.
Greek
Tommy,
god.
Yeah. I wouldn't put Tommy in that category. I mean, there's guys that you see now that that's all they're ever going to be, and you don't want to break their heart.
Yeah.
But guys that come into the school, when I had the school and stuff like that, or guys that are wrestling now, especially in the indies, they're not going into the WWE.
Yeah.
WWE's not looking at them. I'm sorry to break their hearts, but
yeah. Here's what I noticed the other night. That show that we saw, that was at Mid Atlantic Wrestling Association.
Yeah.
Now,
they did a great job. Great job.
Yeah, good show. Really
Yeah.
good show. Are they associated with any group, NWA or Tri-State or anything like that, or are they
No.
independent?
No, most of those guys came out of my school.
Okay.
Worked for me years ago, and also came out of my school when I bought Bundy School in 2004, and I ran it all the way up to 2000.
I thought there was a really good mix
Yeah.
of the kind of guys we're talking about. You had thinner guys, lightweight guys. I mean, you want to call them like cruiserweight style.
Yes.
You had a good assortment of those kind of guys. Then you had a couple super heavyweights on the show. I forget the fella's name. I guess his name is Tyler Sky or somebody like that. Is that it?
Right.
Am I right about it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Tyler Sky, big dude, right?
Yes.
But he's got he's a baby face.
Yeah.
And he's over like Rover with the crowd.
Yeah.
You got a guy like him that's a super heavyweight, but he's got charisma. He can cut a promo. The kids love him.
Yeah, he worked the
They
crowd.
buy his merch.
Yeah.
But then there were the other group of guys I saw and I look at these guys and go, I could beat half of this lineup.
Yeah.
Like, where's the believability? I mean, I gotta give Vinny credit. All right, Vinny did a hell of a job.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
Putting that show together. But I'm probably more critical than you are. But and I don't know if I am. I'm just assuming I am. But when I watch a show like that, I want to know if I ask myself the question, can I beat him? Then we got a problem. Because I shouldn't be able to beat anybody on that show.
Well, that's how much wrestling's changed, though.
Well, talk about that, Doc.
It's just guys that, we talked about the other night. There's guys that they think they're, they want a belt. And I think that whole show, didn't everybody have a belt?
Pretty much everybody had a belt.
I think every match somebody had a belt.
Yeah. Here's what bothers me, Amelia.
Yes.
You got the Monday night champion. You got the Thursday afternoon at 2:00 champion.
Right.
You got the middleweight champion, the heavyweight champion. The I scratch my ass at 5:00 on Thursday night champion.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to Doc. Ask you and Doc have a conversation.
Right. Yeah, like as far as like Sid Vicious, I know that he worked his way up to earn his championships and everything, and then of course he had his tag team. Do you feel that he should have been like world champion like too early in life, or do you think he earned it too soon, or should he have been more a champion like in every
Great question
genre that he had
earlier in life? Because and later on, then a lot of the problems started creaking in. Mm-hmm. just like with Bam Bam Bigelow and
Right.
Yeah.
you know, a lot of the stars that you know Angelo knows that are gone.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're gone too soon.
Absolutely. Yes.
I worked with a lot of them. Bam Bam, Chris Candido,
Yes. Especially
Anthony
Chris.
from the Pit Bulls.
Bam Bam was so bad. We went down. I went with Tommy Cairo, our man Tommy Cairo,
Mhm.
Amy Lee, Bruiser Blackwell. We're all in the same van. We went to his viewing,
Yeah.
and Alpha from the Samoans was right in the front. And I was talking to Alpha. They had a closed casket. That's how bad Bam Bam was.
Yeah.
How bad he was looking.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of having New Jack with me for 2 days. He's another guy
there's another guy that almost screwed me over. Almost. I had a sold out show at Palmyra High School.
Yeah.
There's over 1,000 people there.
Yeah.
My main eventer was Jimmy Snuka.
Mm.
Okay, that was and I had the Pit Bulls were on the card.
Right.
Our man Tommy Cairo was helping me run the locker room.
Right.
And darn if he didn't. He started. We're talking to him the whole time. When
Yeah.
you go out, don't use it. It's a family show. Don't use any curse words. Don't
Yeah.
use don't use the F-bomb.
Right.
None of this.
Yeah.
Right. And darn if he hit the ring. And I did a favor. I did a favor for Eric Sims.
Yeah.
Eric Sims had him in town.
Mhm.
And he wanted a little extra money. And so I said, yeah, bring him. And he didn't even have him advertised. It wasn't on the poster, nothing. And I did him a favor and doing him a favor, giving him more money. And the whole time, Tommy Cairo must have talked to him 10 times. I did the same thing. Me and Tommy talked to him together. And as soon as he hit that ring with the mic, first thing out of his mouth was the F-bomb.
I'm sure.
First
Brother,
thing
let me tell you something. And it breaks my heart to say this.
Well, isn't that? He could have cost me money.
Well,
They
it cost me money too, brother. I got news for you.
They only paid me half. They paid me half up front, for the show, and I was going to get the rest of it, after the show. And that's all I started thinking. There goes my money.
Believe me when I tell you. Hear me. I get it. I get it. Trust me, oh brother. Trust me. He was living in Ventnor, New Jersey at the time, New Jack. Living down outside of Atlantic City. Okay. And I brought him up here because he wanted me to help him with his book. Okay. And we came up with a great title for it called You Don't Know Jack. Right? Because his people don't know, but New Jack was actually Jerome Young.
Right.
And here's the thing, though. He was a nice guy.
Yeah, I don't know about that. He started living he thought he really was his gimmick.
That's where I'm going with this. Hear me out a minute. He was a nice guy. He wasn't the guy that people saw on TV and in the arena. But he became that guy because he didn't know how to handle being nice. It was hard for him being known as he didn't want to be known as a nice guy. Right. He's the thug killer,
Yeah.
Him and Mustafa, the new age, the gangsters or whatever the fuck they called them, the gangsters. The Cornette called them the gangsters.
Right.
But a guy like that will kill a promotion. But he's also a draw. He's got a certain number of people that follow him.
Yeah, at that time, yeah.
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 And if you're willing to let him F-bomb, then it's money in the bank for you. But you can't do that with kids.
No.
Not with, 10, 12-year-old kids in the crowd.
Right. That's what I was concerned with. And that's what, like I said, Tommy Cairo, with all his experience, I mean, we're both standing together talking to him. And he's yesing us to death. Yeah, oh, yeah. you know, and like I said, as soon as he gets out there, F-bomb comes out. Then every other word was the F-bomb. You know, like I said, I had a sold out crowd, and here I haven't got my other money yet. You know, and I said, first thing I looked at Tommy, I said, there's my money, it's gone.
Doc, let me tell you something, my brother. Jerome Young, aka New Jack, could not have a conversation without using the word fuck. Or motherfucker. That was his big one, motherfucker.
Yeah. He used that too. Yeah. In the ring. Yeah.
Yep. And you can't roll like that. Amelia, questions for Doc.
Yeah. Also, I know that we had talked about, you know, Kevin Sullivan yesterday and Sid Vicious, but do you see any wrestlers nowadays with the same characteristics as them too?
No.
There won't ever be, will they?
It's all the same cookie cutter. You know, I think me and Angela talked about this before. It's all cookie cutter. I don't even watch it WWE.
I stopped watching it.
I was going to ask you that, Doc. How much of the current stuff do you watch?
None.
I was going to. I would, and I'll be honest with you. I would much prefer to spend $15 or $20 on a local indie show
and seeing what we seen Saturday.
And that was a hell of and they had a couple of hundred people there in a very, very small, very hot VFW hall.
Yes.
Very small and very hot, Amelia, like cramming in sardines.
Right.
and this, Doc, am I lying? That place was hot.
Yeah. Well, the bar side was cool.
Yeah, because it was empty. There was nobody.
Well, when I took my son to watch the Von Erich movie, he looked at me and he was, Mom, they used to wrestle like that, but why is wrestling so different now?
Yeah.
Why?
It was hard for me to explain it. Like, honey, that's when wrestling was wrestling. Tell you.
Well, you got to remember something too.
Yeah.
Not only was it different kind of wrestling.
Yes.
But wrestling from state to state.
Yes.
It was a different style too.
A different style, yes.
Yeah,
the guys in the south,
You go out south on the north, northeast coast.
They had a different way of working.
Yeah.
Like it was a lot snugger down south because them country boys, they like to pound on you.
They do like to pound on you.
In Florida, here's the way it was. And I think Doc will agree. The Northeast was more flamboyant, more show-oriented. Florida was a lot more technical wrestling. Georgia, places like that in the South. Mm-hmm. Texas, very much ground and pound.
Right.
The same could be said of like Portland with Don Owens.
Uh-huh.
Don had a tough, rough and tough, tumble crowd there. Mm-hmm. His guys, they worked a snug style, what we like to call working tight.
Right.
If you ever hear that term, Amelia, that that somebody likes to work tight.
Yes.
Right. That means that they're working snug. They're working like a hard style. Right. Oh, look at this! Doc, check this out.
Oh no!
Amelia's boyfriend is here.
Okay.
Captain Miserable says, I want to wrestle Amelia. Loses. Here you go. Loser, lose, close match.
Oh, my Captain Miserable in the chat.
I want to have Doc Diamond promote that show. It's the loser, lose, close match. That's funny, Mil.
Right?
Captain Miserable. That's Amelia's, resident boyfriend here on the show. I think he's fucking hilarious, to be honest with you.
He's a sweetheart.
Doc, let's talk about a little bit about Sid and Kevin. It was there for a long time particularly back in the early to mid 90s, Doc. We were losing young wrestlers, like one or two a week.
Yes.
We had like, Anthony, Gary's partner, Anthony. Yeah. We had Doug Gilbert was gone. Louis Spicoli.
Yeah, Scott Bigelow.
Right. Yeah, Bam Bam Bigelow, right?
Yep.
And we were losing like it was crazy. We were losing these wrestlers. Like, it seemed like every week.
Yeah.
Yes, very young too.
Why did these guys have such a problem dealing? But yet you've got guys like Sullivan that was 77. Sid was 63, but, you
That's
know,
young.
no fault of his own. He had cancer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Guys that I knew, like Red Bastien, rest his soul. You know, Red Bastien lived to be 80 plus years old.
Well, look at like Ric Flair. He drinks every day.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He's in his 70s.
Yeah, but see, Rick's a different kind of cat, though.
Rick,
Rick is
a lot of it has to do with luck. You can't tell me that it isn't luck.
luck and good genetics too, brother. I got news for you.
Yeah, because these guys did the same things that I did back in the 70s and 80s and 90s. You know, and I'm still here. You know, I was on a lot of lists that I was going to be gone before a lot of these guys are gone.
Doc, what was your ideal wrestling weight?
My ideal wrestling weight,
Yeah.
about 260.
Okay. At 260, did you find that you had enough stamina to go like a 20, 30-minute match?
Yes.
Okay.
But a guy today wouldn't know what that was.
No, I was just going to say, you're hard pressed these days, guys. Guys are blown up now. 15 minutes, they're sucking wind.
And you're pushing it at 15. You're pushing it at 15.
You're making my point. You're making my point for me, which is in the old school, like, you know, Doc and I, because we're in the same ballpark. You know, a guy like Doc Diamond could go 20, 30 minutes because as long as the crowd is feeding,
yes,
the two guys are going to, you know, pound each other in the ring. Oh, let's do this. Let's do your work.
Yeah.
Amelia, it was called, they used to say, calling it in the ring.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Now,
yeah,
I got a problem, Doc, because here's the problem I got.
Well, no, it used to be you tell a guy who you're working with how you're going to start and how you're going to, you know, what's going to be the ending.
Yeah.
Usually let the referee in on it. But then after, you know, you could call the rest in the ring if you know what you're doing.
That's it. Exactly. Yes. That's exactly
you
right.
Would get guys in the locker room had to sit down and go through the whole match from the beginning to the end, exactly what everybody, you know, exactly what you were going to do.
Yeah.
And you're just sitting there, what? You know, yeah, it's how you're going to start it, how you're going to end it, and what's in between. You should know what you're going to do, and you go by what the crowd, the crowd.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I remember that because we used to sit in the ring, we stand by the ring, and then you'd be telling the wrestler, "Oh, you know, like hit him right here, or do this," and the wrestler would be like, "You mean like this? You mean right here, like that?" And you know, you get the crowd involved, and that was so much fun, and you can't do that anymore.
No, I'll tell you what you can do, Amelia.
Time for a break?
You can run a Manscaped commercial for Amelia. We'll be right back after this one, folks. Do you have sweaty balls or volleyball netty balls? It's time to make them ready balls. The Manscaped.com Lawnmower 3.0 will do the job and clean your knob with its patented no-nick head, so your head will function as desired. Enter promo code WrestlingFuture for a generous 20% discount. That's enter Wrestling Future for a 20% discount. Manscaped.com and Wrestling with the Future, going balls to the walls with Manscaped.com and the Lawnmower 3.0. Your balls will thank you, and so will we. This is What's the Buzz Popcast. I am Mad Dog DeCipio at 7:40 p.m. East Coast time. Amelia, this has been a very quick night.
Yes, it has.
Very quick night. I am joined tonight by my friend, Doc Diamond, legendary promoter, instructor, trainer, teacher, man of wisdom. He's been around the block a few times, kids. worked for WWE, WWF, NWA. He worked for every alphabet in wrestling you can think of, including a few that you haven't heard of.
Oh, Savoldi.
And he survived working for Gino Moore, God rest his soul.
Yes.
Doc, let's talk about the difference between working
Mm-hmm.
for local promotions as opposed to the larger feds. Is there any sustainable difference between the two, or are they pretty much the same?
It's a big difference. The wrestling that I used to do and promote, and you promoted, those days are gone.
Yeah.
Indie wrestling is completely different. When I'll go back to, let's say, 98, early 2000s. I could have a card. I think I even brought it up last time. I can have a card with, which I did, with Honky Tonk Man, Bushwhackers, Bam Bam Bigelow, Tito Santana, Honky Tonk Man, My Guy's Bad Attitude, you know, and midget match, and usually a girl match. And that time I went up against Amy. It was me and Amy.
Amy Lee.
Yeah.
She's still around.
Yeah, me and her went up against each other at a show that I did. But all those are on that same card. That's a WWF card.
Oh God, sure. I did a show years ago in Camden. I had Ken Patera, SD Jones. I had Chief Thunder Mountain, Larry Sharp, Jay Strongbow. I had Larry Zbyszko. That's how Larry and I became friends. We're still friends today. God, who else? I'm trying to remember who else was on the show. The Bounty Hunters, Jerry and David Novak.
Yes.
That's
who I wrestled as when I first started wrestling, as the Bounty Hunter.
I'm going to give you a little heads up. You ready for this one? My ex-wife used to be married to David Novak of the Bounty Hunters. For real. That's my. They worked. Remember a promoter named Nick Goulas?
Yes.
My ex-wife used to wrestle for Nick Goulas.
Okay.
Back in the day in Tennessee. It's funny. Rest her soul.
Do you remember Bob Raskin?
Oh my God! Please, yes.
Yeah. I worked for him. He was running the USWA.
Yeah.
Yeah. I worked.
Absolutely.
Slaughter was his main eventer. Slaughter was his champion.
Yeah.
And I worked for. It was the first time working for Raskin, Bob Raskin. It was me and Ron Shaw. And I went up against Teddy Petty, which was on the Cheetah Kid.
Oh, sure. I miss Teddy and Johnny. God, man, they were.
Yeah, Teddy was good people. I had the honor working with Teddy and Slaughter. It was a tag team, and I was Ron Shaw's tag team partner. We went up against Slaughter.
Oh, that's funny.
And Teddy was the Cheetah Kid on the Cheetah Kid gimmick.
Hello, Angelo.
Is that Tina?
Yeah, that's Tina.
Hi, Tina. How you doing, baby?
I'm good.
That's my girl. She takes care of Doc.
Yeah.
Good.
I need to.
Amelia, do you know who Ted Petty is?
No.
If I say to you the Public Enemy.
It sounds familiar, yes.
See, she's young, Doc. You got to remember, she's just a baby.
Yeah.
I feel so old when I talk to her because, you know, and Doc, you and I'm 65. Are you my age?
Same age.
Oh, you're the same age. Okay.
His age.
I was going to say, I hope I'm not older than Doc.
You're a little younger, hon. You were born in 60.
But, man, that was a fast night tonight. We had this was a fast night. I think that the lesson we come out of wrestling, learning a lesson. I think the lesson I learned in wrestling was that especially in the beginning. I trusted too many people.
Mhm.
I didn't listen enough to the people who had my back. Because what happens, and Doc, you know this to be true, you get very paranoid in the wrestling business,
Oh, sure.
especially if you're a promoter, because everybody wants to get over on you.
Yeah.
Getting over on you means they're getting over.
Yeah. There's somebody that wants to stab you in the back. Sure.
Always. Always.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I got out, I thought to myself, you know what? I made some money. I made some friends. I made memories that nobody will ever take from me.
Right.
Yep.
I got to meet the legends, you know. How many people can say, Bruno Sammartino knew you? You know, everybody knew Bruno, but it's different to say Bruno knew you. You know,
It's just like me. I'm bad at names, and I'll forget people's names, but everybody remembers me.
of course, yeah,
Mhm.
You say Doc Diamond, and people know who I am.
exactly, exactly. Well, you have to remember you had a level of celebrity that comes with being a professional wrestler.
But also, I had good people, behind me, had my back. Like,
Well, yeah, I mean, but
like
you got to
Gene,
remember also, yep, you had good people behind you.
like
You
Gene.
had people you could trust. The other thing too, it didn't hurt that you got your face on TV a few times.
Right.
You know,
And that
that's
was what,
always a good thing. People, what you give a guy a 3-minute match on TV, more people know him in that 3 minutes than if he works a show every day of the week in his home state. He
right.
won't meet that many people that'll see you in 3 minutes on television.
Right.
Because you're talking about millions of people watching you in that 3-minute period. That's where you get over. If a smart guy, even if he's a lousy wrestler, can get over, because you have to know how to make the best of the TV time that they give you.
Yeah,
Because
look at Hogan. Look at Hogan. He already knows
exactly.
what three moves, 4 moves at the most.
That's what
You're
that's what
being
Mad Dog
generous
said.
if you say 4, Doc.
I know. Mad Dog said 3. He was being generous.
You're being generous if you say 4.
Mhm.
He's got the leg drop. He's got the the big boot,
The elbow, yeah.
and he's
Elbow.
got the elbow. I
Yeah.
think that's his whole repertoire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
maybe if you count this one with the ear,
That'll be the
You know?
4.
that's 4 with the ear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. Amelia,
Yes.
tell everybody what's coming up.
Yes, absolutely. We'd love to do that. Okay. On the 16th we have Michael Leonard, Mama Walton from the Waltons.
She
also-
played Olivia Walton
Walton,
on the
yes.
Waltons. Michael Leonard will be here. She also played Jeffrey Dahmer's grandmother
on the Netflix series. Yes.
Yeah, on the show Dahmer on Netflix.
And our real good friend, country singer legend Lacey J. Dalton on the
My
17th.
dear friend from the world of country music. She is a
Yes.
Country Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Wow.
Lacey J. Dalton will be back, and I have a surprise announcement that's going to blow everybody away. But
Yes,
you're going to have to wait for that
And
one.
we'll be promoting her album For the Black Sheep as well.
Absolutely. It's called For the Black Sheep.
Yes.
That would be like me and Doc. We would be the black sheep.
And we
For
are
sure.
gonna be, and we're happy. Also, we're gonna have Doc Diamond again on the 18th. We're gonna be
And
talking
Doc
about.
will rejoin us for
Yes.
the state of pro wrestling.
Mhm.
Doc is going to be our tour guide
Mhm.
for the world of wrestling the way it used to be,
Yes.
and how wrestling today can learn from the past.
Absolutely. I was lucky enough to be in that genre of how wrestling was, and people today aren't
Yep.
as lucky as I was to know what wrestling, as they called it, was, and the best as it was.
Well, I remember back in Ed McLemore in Texas used to run the Sportatorium,
Mhm.
and they called it Friday night
Not
Texas
wrestling.
wrestling, baby.
Yes.
Wasn't wrestling, it was wrestling.
It was
You
wrestling
want to
back in
wrestle?
Southwest. Yeah, it was the Southwest Championship Wrestling.
First time I ever saw the Von Erichs.
Mhm.
First
But
time I ever heard the name Von Erich was.
But didn't Vince have a problem with that? The wrestling? He didn't like that?
Too bad.
Right.
I would be telling him, too bad, so sad. I tell him that all the time. Too bad, so sad.
Right. Well, listen, Doc, thank you for joining us again.
Oh, thank you.
Been a great night. We're gonna have you back on September the 18th for the state of wrestling. What wrestling can learn from what wrestling today can learn from its past.
The past.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about people like Gorgeous George, Haystacks Calhoun, Ricky Starr, Buddy Rogers, Bruno Sammartino, Pedro Morales, Superstar Billy Graham, Bob Backlund. Those are names. That's the Mount Rushmore of wrestling, folks.
Nikolai
Volkov, God rest his soul.
Wrestlers who made wrestling what it is today.
His real name was, people don't know this, but Nikolai's real name was Joseph. Joe, yeah. Good guy, sweet guy. Very, not anything like his character. Nothing like his character. Very soft-spoken, mild guy, and funny, and I love to laugh.
Yeah.
Laugh.
Oh, and good in the locker room with everybody.
Wasn't he a practical joker?
Always worried about me.
Yeah.
Not worried about himself. Always worried about me with my health.
That's how he was. Yeah.
Yep.
Doc, we're going to close out the show with the traditional 10-bell salute. Ladies and gentlemen, till we see you again, God willing and the creek don't rise, behave yourself, stay out of trouble, especially you, Pitbull.
Me?
I know Doc's going to stay out of trouble because Tina's with him and she'll kick his ass.
Yeah.
And I'm married to Anita, and then say no more with that. She got me on a short leash.
Short leash.
Take care, folks. Good night. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.